Hi, I'm Amy Satori, a twin flame and intuitive spiritual counselor assisting in raising the vibration of our planet. I am able to scan your energy field for emotional blockages and talk to your organs using Qigong energy healing. I can also help you make decisions, talk to your pets, guides, deceased loved ones, and your family or friends' higher selves. I can help you navigate your relationships and answer pressing questions in your life by talking with the unseen world. I am not a doctor, psychologist, or fortune teller. This is for entertainment purposes only, not to be taken seriously whatsoever. Having also been enlightened for 6 months years ago, I have a feel for oneness with God and use these skills I've developed to translate the images, feelings, impressions, and messages I'm given while tuning into you and your situation. You can ask me anything by calling 256-291-1191 any Sunday starting at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Follow me at thesatorishow.podbean.com, find me on Instagram, or order a reading at amysatori.com today. So sit back and enjoy this episode of The Satori Show. Hey everybody, this is Amy Satori of The Satori Show. Thank you so much for listening. I just want to run through some different ways that you can reach me. Instagram, go to Instagram, put in Amy Satori, you'll find me there, very easy. 1111 Twin Flame Forum is where you can find some support if you're a twin flame. Share stories on there, ask questions, that kind of thing. It's kind of fun. Let's see, where else? If you go to amysatori.com, you can take a look at a little bit about me, my history, why I do what I do, and you can read some of my blog posts, great information there, some great resources, and you can order a custom reading, you can order a light language blessing. There are a number of different services listed on there on that website. It's designed to be pretty streamlined. When you place an order, you're given my calendar to make your own appointment. It pops up and gives me a reminder to give you a call, and then I call you. You got a piece of paper and pen ready, and you just write down whatever I tell you if you feel like writing it down. So, okay, so this is going to be a little talk about haunted houses and spirits. So I wanted to give you little bit of oh my gosh, this is so crazy. I wanted to tell you a little bit about my history too with haunted houses and things like that. For one, living in a haunted house is what got me doing this in the first place, getting into this line of work, because it was crazy, the stuff that would happen in that house. You guys wouldn't even believe it. It wasn't one of those houses where you hear like this big scary voice, or you know, that you see this big figure, or I don't know. It didn't seem that scary to me. It was a cute little house with a circle driveway, absolutely beautiful flowers everywhere. We had a lot of animals. It was a really happy home. We really loved it. And I was married almost 10 years in that home. And so we were pretty darn happy in that place. But I'll tell you, there was just a lot of little things that happened all the time. Like, I'm trying to think of some of the things. I have a video. I'll put a link in the description here of some of the photographic proof that we had. We even had like a ghost team come out and videotape and tape record some EVP and things like that to gather some evidence of spirits from that house. But okay, so some of the things that happened. One time I was looking at this photo up on a bookshelf across the way while I was watching TV, and I just had the thought for a second, if I wasn't so lazy, I'd get up and I'd correct that picture. Then I looked outside for just a second, and I looked back, and I swear to God that picture was corrected. And I jumped and gasped. It was like, oh my gosh. Another time, there was a sound. I had just turned the TV off, and the remote control dropped on the floor of the hardwood floor. And I had a bunch of animals around me. When I dropped the remote on the floor, all of a sudden you heard this dog, it sounded like, jump up from underneath the kitchen table, a dog that did not exist and we could not see. You could just hear the dog jump up and run across the kitchen floor. And all of the animals and eye, look over, and there's nothing there. We don't see anything. I don't see anything. They probably saw it, but you could hear the dog run across the floor. And then the faucet turned on. You could hear the water running, but the faucet actually wasn't on. It was so weird. And then just after that, the blinds kind of made this sound like a cat was rubbing on them. And so, my husband at the time was really in denial, and he didn't even like talking about that kind of stuff. And he was like, they don't exist, they don't exist. And he put his head in the sand. And, he did change his tune after many years of living in that house. But so all this stuff was happening, and then a few seconds went by, and then I heard him call out from the office, which was down the hallway a few doors down. And he calls out and he says, "What was all that?" And I said, I don't know. He said, "I didn't hear you get up." I said, "I didn't." He said, "Well, what dog ran across the floor?" And I said, "I don't know. I didn't see a dog. None of our dogs or cats moved. They're all like laying here with me in the living room and in the kitchen, but they're all just like laying down." And he was like, "God, I knew it. That just sounded like it didn't sound right." And he goes, "Well, what cat was in the kitchen, rubbing on the blinds?" And I said, "None of ours." And he's like, "You've got to be kidding me." So he was really stumped by the sound of it, even from the other room. He didn't even hear, or he didn't even see any of the stuff that I had seen or not seen. So it was kind of cool that he picked up on that was just a really weird occurrence. Another time I was ironing in our laundry room, and he was walking out to go barbecue something out back. He had a beer in his hand, and he walks in between the washing machine and the dryer and the ironing board where I was ironing some napkins. And he walks past the dryer, and the dryer door flew open like 8 inches and slammed shut. And then when he walked by the washing machine, the dial started spinning. He stopped. After he passed them both, he stopped and he raised his beer and he says, "I've been drinking too much." And that's all he had to say. And then he went out back. And I just started laughing. They never did anything bad to me. In fact, I think they liked me. It felt like they liked me. And they did, like, sometimes he'd go out and smoke a cigarette out on the front porch before bed every night. And sometimes when he was being kind of a jerk, they would deadbolt the lock and not let him in. And I was too scared of him to do that. I would, like, no way would I do that. And so he came, he'd be like, come over to the window and he'd knock and he'd be like, "Your stupid friends locked me out." And I'd be like, kind of laughing. I'd be like, "Okay." And I'd go let him back in. But it was crazy. And I shared I did a pre-recorded show, and I'm going to share an experience that happened in that bedroom as well. But I'm not going to give it away right now. I'll give you something to look forward to. It's going to be episode 84, 85-ish. Okay, so it's going to be the one that's going to be in place of the live one that I do. Okay, so what else happened in the house? Man, so much. There was one time when I was taking a nap, and I worked from home. I was a positive reinforcement animal trainer at that time. And I had been taking a nap, or I was hanging out in the bedroom or something, and I saw like a shadow figure walk back and forth. This seemed to me like it was worried, like pacing, like somebody would do if they're worried. And so I got up to go investigate, and I felt led to go back to the guest room. And in the guest room, there was like a little cat door that was in the window, and the window went out to a cat enclosure that was like, I don't know, 4 feet by 6 feet, something like that. Beautiful outdoor area, really, really nice. But the top of it was flapping off in the breeze. There was a big storm that came in, so it was kind of it was just kind of flapping around. And so I think that the ghost was like looking out for us, saying, "Hey, your cats are going to get out if you don't nail that down." So that was kind of cool. There was a really scary experience that happened there, and I won't get into that because when something like that happens, you just don't go there that often, or you just kind of bring that energy back again. So if you are if you want to listen to that story, I did talk about it on the video that I put a link in the description of this episode too. So you can go listen to that video if you want to. It's a pretty freaky story. Trying to think of anything else. Anyway, it just went on for years and years. I think back when Kevin had his Spirit Talk Radio in Seattle, I went on the show and I think I had a list of like 30 things that happened. So it was very active, very haunted, but they liked me, so I was glad. Okay, so and then I was, this isn't like a haunting story necessarily, but a haunted sleep machine thing. I was with my last husband. Sounds like I've been with a million husbands, but this husband I was living with out on the coast, the West Coast. We were living in Oregon, and we had a beautiful view of the ocean, and we lived in this little rambler on top of a hill. And I couldn't sleep very well, so I wanted to get a sleep machine, a very expensive, really nice sleep machine. And I had to talk him into it because he was like, that's really expensive. And so, but we did it, and I slept with that machine on. I was so relieved to have it. And it looked like a little dome. It had these little slits in it. And the reviews were really great. But every time I plugged it in and tried to sleep, I would have these nightmares of either murdering people or them murdering me. It was like being in a horror movie every night that I had that thing on. I was like, this thing is supposed to be making me feel better, not making me like awake all night with these horrible nightmares. So, but that kept happening, and it was freaking him out too, and he didn't like it. He would walk in the room at night, and if it was on, he'd look at it like it was staring at him. So he got really nervous about it. I didn't like it anymore, and I put it like in the living room trying to figure out like what to do. I felt like just unplug it. But even when it was unplugged, it kind of felt like there was a presence to it. And so we put it out in the garage, and then neither of us ever wanted to go out in the garage to grab anything. So we figured we got to do something about this. And I was like, should we, throw it away? Should we bury it? Like, what do we do with this thing? It's obviously like something's wrong with it. It's got like an evil spirit or something. And again, back then I wasn't a psychic. I didn't have any clue as to what was going on. But this machine obviously had something going on with it. Then it actually dawned on me. Some people buy things that are haunted because they want haunted things. And I thought that was really weird. But, I did. I sold it as a haunted sleep machine. And it sold. And I asked the person, please report back to me and tell me what happens with the sleep machine. I'm just so curious. And they never did get back with me. They never did say anything. So fast forward to this last blood red full moon. Wasn't paying attention to the fact that it was a blood red full moon or a full moon. I've been so busy lately just running around, putting out fires and, getting ready for the shows. And I've just been running myself ragged a little bit, not taking much of a break for anything. And so I just found myself at this gal's house because she was house sitting and she couldn't even sleep in the house. She was like, I sleep out on the porch. I sleep out, on the balcony. I sleep anywhere except in the house. And I'm just really scared of it. And I thought, she's just exaggerating or, I not that I would just naturally discredit her, but I just wasn't so sure. And, see, I'm trying to debate on whether to tell you this part. Okay. Well, yeah, all right. So, as you guys know, I work with unicorns and fairies and all that kind of stuff. And Tristan's my unicorn. He showed up that morning, and I didn't know I was going to go to the haunted house that night. But he showed up that morning, and he was being really playful and cute. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, he doesn't usually show up like that. And the last time he did that was the day that I met Jordan Maxwell, and it ended up pertaining and being relevant. So I knew there was a reason he was popping up for me. But he was being really playful and stuff, so I was like, okay, this is interesting. And I just said, well, a lot of angels and other beings can't really do anything to protect you or raise your vibration or whatever it is that you need unless you ask them to. So I said, Tristan, if you're here to like protect me or do whatever, you just do your thing. I'm happy to have you here. Thanks for popping up this morning. So and then that just kind of went out of my mind. Then I ended up going to this haunted house that evening, and ended up a friend of mine at the last minute was like, "Do you want to go out for dinner?" So I said yes. So we were at dinner, and then she wanted to go do something afterwards, go to a beer garden or something, and so she, or listen to music somewhere, I think. And she's just, and I said, we could go do that, but let's go drop by this house and kind of investigate it first, if you don't mind. She's like, sure, yeah. So here we are on the blood red full moon, not even knowing, that this is any big deal. And we're just walking into the situation just to go be supportive of this girl who, I was just hoping to set her mind at ease. Oh my gosh. So we walk into this house, and it's a really beautiful house. And we walk in there, and it stunk. It smelled so bad. I don't even know what the smell was, but it was a combination of like old and musty, maybe some pee, like, I don't know, cat pee or something gross. And it was just really smelly, maybe even like a burnt hair smell. I don't know. It was gross. And so we were like, okay, well, it doesn't pass the smell test. We kind of looked at each other like, okay, let's not alarm her. So let's keep our comments to after she's gone, And so we're getting a tour of the house and whatnot. We get upstairs. Oh gosh, I look over, and there's this bookshelf with a sleep machine that looked exactly like the one that I sold. And I looked at it and just immediately beeline for it. I was like, oh, hell no. And I was thinking, this thing's got to be the culprit. Like, I just automatically grabbed it. I went to throw it in the closet. If you guys know me, you know that I don't like dolls or clowns. They're kind of freaky. So, I mean, if I have to face them, that's totally fine. But I would prefer not to see a bunch of clowns or dolls. So if I could avoid them, I would. If there's a doll shop, no, I'm not walking in there. Forget it. But I grab the sleep machine, and I go to put it in the closet, and I'm like, whatever, I just need to contain this thing. So I pick it up. I go to open the closet, you guys, and the closet is full of dolls facing down. I mean, it was one of those moments. I was like, and I just could not even believe. I was like, okay. And so I just shoved it in the closet, shut the door, and I was like, that is like my worst nightmare. I am never opening that closet again. So I walk in, and there's like one of the girls' bedrooms had unicorns all over. It was really cool. So I thought, oh, there's a sweet girl who's kind of after my own heart with my love for unicorns and everything. So anyway, we went downstairs, and we were in the kitchen. She's like, well, you guys could look in the cellar if you want. And both of us, me and my friend, walk over to go down into the cellar. We both stop in front of the door, and we look at each other, and there's like this box that's by the door. She discreetly moves the box over with her foot in front of the door, and we both like kind of grinned at each other like, no, we are not gonna go down into that cellar. It just had this energy of like people been buried and killed and stuff like down there. There's like not good things have happened down there. So we tried not to alarm her. We were just all nice and calm, and we're like, okay, all right, well, thanks for letting us. The girl got so uncomfortable too. She's like, I'm out of here. She's just, I can't take it. So she runs out the door. We're like, you made a good decision. It's probably best not to be here. And so as it turns out, we were sensing like a poltergeist energy, and it had to do with like, I think the father of the family. And it's like, without having a huge ordeal and the whole family involved, we couldn't have cleansed the house. So there's really nothing that we could have done. We did what we could to bless it and to cleanse it and things like that, but it really needed a big deal done on it. So we just advised her to go elsewhere, and she already had a secondary plan set up, so she was going to go do that. So yeah, total craziness. But that's been one of that's just I didn't even know how. I just would never go back in that house again. But I mean, I've seen worse, but there was just such a funky, weird energy about this one in particular that it was just like there was just an evil there, and I don't know how to describe it. But anyway, so I told this girl, like, I just said, you can borrow Tristan sometime. I said unicorns are very powerful, and he'll protect you. So she, so I go home. I cleanse myself. My friend and I do energy work on each other. I take an Epsom salt bath, and I do all this to kind of cleanse my energy from the whole experience, and decide to put it behind me. I'm not going to even think about that place anymore. And so I go to bed, and I was okay the first night. Second night, I start having all these nightmares and stuff, and I'm seeing things with red eyes and all this freaky stuff. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm like, Tristan, and there's like nothing. Tristan, nothing. Tristan, 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 and he's like nowhere. I'm like, where is my unicorn? He is like, where is he? So I start calling on everybody else that I know to call on, and sure enough, I was helped. But I was like, what the heck? And so I called my friend the next day. I'm like, what do you think happened to Tristan? Like, where did Tristan go? And she's like, I don't know. She says, I feel like he's like off helping. Like he's helping you, but indirectly at the moment. And then he'll be back. He's got to take like a little vacation or something before he comes back. And I was like, okay, that's a really funny story. Like, sometimes intuition can be so crazy. And I was even like, okay, you're making this up. This is so funny. So, but sure enough, for the next day or two, I didn't hear anything from him. I didn't see him. I'd call for him. There's nothing. I was like, okay, well, something's definitely happened, and it happened to Tristan. And then I was given his secondhand unicorn to kind of fill in for him, and I found out his name, so I could be working with him anytime Tristan's gone. So anyway, so the girl shows up at the lighthouse. And she just pops in. She's like, hey. She goes, I just wanted to thank you so much. Like, it just felt so great that you looked into that situation for me. I feel so much better now. I've kind of tried to put that behind me, and I feel like I made the right decision, blah, blah, blah. And then she says, oh, and by the way, Tristan's been with me, and thank you so much because he's been just such a comfort for me, and he really is quite powerful. And I looked at her, and I was like, oh, that's where Tristan went. So he was with you this whole time. That makes sense as to how he was inadvertently helping me out without it being direct. So I just thought that was such great validation of that whole unseen world and how much they really can help us and how real it really is, Okay, so I put together a list of things that you can do if you are finding some paranormal activity going on in your house. If you have a sleep machine, I would say that is your first suspect, just based on what I've been through before, but not necessarily. Some sleep machines can be okay, I guess. So here's some things that I've just found that I do with haunted houses, or that you can kind of experiment with or try out yourself. Okay, first of all, if there's activity going on in the house, it means that you could either have a spirit that doesn't know that it's gone, or a spirit that refused to leave, or like a residual energy. So depending on what you're dealing with, it's always a good idea to try to talk to them. And it's a good idea to get a psychic there. Because unless you just want to experiment with it for a while, like I did in my haunted house, I would ask questions, what are you guys doing here? What do you want? Is there anything I can help you with? It's a good way to be able to become more intuitive, like I did. It's good training. So you could try and talk with them, or you could have a psychic come out to the house. And the next thing would be, if you do have a spirit that just seems to not, if I find a spirit in the house and it's just kind of it'll talk to me and it'll interact with me, then what I do is I ask it, why are you still here, kind of thing, or maybe I'll tell it, did you know that you've passed away? We'll have a conversation, and then when it feels appropriate, I'll say, how would you like to go to the light? And a lot of them that are still here are afraid to go to the light. They're afraid to get judged or something. There's usually something holding them back, or there's a family member or some kind of unresolved issue that they feel like they have to take care of before they go. So I will explain to them why it's a good idea for them to go into the light anyway. So I'll help them resolve the issue, or I'll offer up a solution, or I'll let them know their friends and family are on the other side, or their pets, or I'll let them know that why their daughter doesn't need them anymore, that their daughter can take care of themselves, and do that kind of thing. And you can visualize, and whatever you guys visualize is actually real on the other side. So just start to have the confidence in what you're seeing on the other side. So you can visualize light shining down and angels being up above the light and like kind of overseeing the whole experience. You could ask the angels to help you to pass the person over, and then you just turn the light on or offer the light up to the person and encourage them and support them in going into the light, and then you'll just see them get sucked up into it. It's like the angels have a big vacuum up there, and they just whoop, and they're just gone. You can sense when they're there and when they've gone. So that's one thing that you could do. If it is just residual energy that's still there, one way that you can get rid of it, or sometimes like if people have had a lot of fights in the house, or they've had a lot of they've had in-laws come over that are kind of difficult to deal with, and sometimes, or a lot of stress or a big illness or something like that, that energy can stay trapped in the house as well. And sometimes it seems like it's haunted because it's just kind of a creepy feeling that's left over. So it's always a good idea to kind of cleanse your home afterwards, after there's been a bunch of fighting or sickness or the in-laws visit or anything like that, any kind of icky feelings. Not saying all in-laws are bad, just saying, if bad stuff happens in your house or negative stuff happens in your house, it's not a bad idea to cleanse. You could have a shaman or a psychic come to the house and do that, or you can learn how to do it yourself. So I'm going to tell you how to do it for yourself. And sometimes even when you know how to do it for yourself, it's really nice to have a friend there or have a professional there to help you as well, because it makes you feel more confident. It's all a placebo. It's all in what you believe. How much confidence you have has everything to do with how effective you'll be. So one thing that you can do to clear your home is to buy some sage and or sweetgrass or Palo Santo. Sage is really great at cleansing negative energy. Sweetgrass is really great for bringing blessings in. Palo Santo does both. So one of the blessings that I like to say is, I bless this home with pure love and light. I bless it with pure source energy. Only love and light reside within these walls. Anything negative must leave these premises immediately. And I repeat that over and over and over. I have a special feather, like a bundle of feathers that I use, some sage, a shell, and I just go around the house just fanning that smoke into every crack and crevice of the place. And I will pick a certain window or door for any negativity to go out of, and then that's the last thing I end up saging at the very end. And then I go through every room. I even go through the garage, the laundry room, like every single room and closet. I'm very, very thorough when I do these clearings. Don't speak of evil. I know I just did, but I didn't get into much detail about it, and I didn't make it scary. I made it humorous. So if anything really bad is happening, try to ignore it as best you can and get on top of the fear, because you're giving your power away and you're giving your free will away if you're afraid of it. I talked about free will in another show like a few episodes ago, but I'm not sure. Look in the description of the episode to see where I talk about free will. But basically, anything can hurt you if you think that it can. And that includes curses, you guys. If you think that you're cursed, you are. But only because you think you are. So if you think, it's all, like I said, everything's a placebo. So if you think that the curse is lifted off and you're in a better place now and you're going to make better decisions and things are going to really start coming in and blessing you, then you start saying affirmations that support that, and you start believing that instead, and you replace the other belief, and there you have it. You'll start to see some proof and evidence come into your life showing you that that's true now. So you can completely change your whole situation by believing something different, and not what you would put your attention on, you create more of. So if you complain a lot or if you talk about all the stuff that's going wrong, you're going to create more of it. So therefore, if you're talking about your haunted house and all the scary, horrible things going on in it, you're going to create more of that activity, more poltergeist activity, more ghosts, more of that stuff in your life. So don't talk about it. Just go do something about it. One of the things that I did once, it didn't seem all that effective, but I'm sure it can be, depending on, like, if I were to do it again, I'd probably use a shaman or something like that, like somebody who's done it a lot and really knows what they're doing. But you pour a line of salt all along the perimeter of the property or the home, and it creates like a barrier. But the problem with that is, like, as soon as it rains or there's a lot of weather, it fades away. You got to put the barrier back again. So I'm not sure it's all that effective. But remember too, if you do that, it's all about intention. You have to set out the intention to keep all the evil out. It can be good if you have like a Native American type situation where you've had like a tribe on your property, or there's been a burial ground or something like that, because they will see that you're out there pouring salt onto the property, and they will understand that better than they'll understand you just talking to them. So, I mean, they can feel like heart to heart conversations, and they can sense, where you're coming from. But pouring salt, it's like they get that. You're speaking their language by doing that. So sometimes that can be good, or doing some kind of a ceremonial thing that you think that that they would understand would be a good idea in that type of situation. Ask for help from the elementals. So I actually also have a video on YouTube that I will also put a link to, where my cat Neo was seeing all these fairies because I called upon the fairies to help protect me. I was out on this piece of property that was on a river. I got to stay there for free because she was having a bunch of construction done on it. And it was this gorgeous, huge house on the river that was so beautiful and so awesome. And it was so cool to be a part of that beautiful atmosphere. And we would hear coyotes and things in the background and all of that, and we could go kayaking. I'm saying we, meaning like whenever I'd have friends over and things like that. But it was really cool. But at nighttime it got pretty freaky and pretty scary, and I had some crazy experiences and nightmares and things. It was definitely, there was some haunted activity there. So, and I won't even go into that, but there was like a girl involved that was trying to do some stuff too. But basically I asked fairies to help protect me and be a part of that. And they did, and they were awesome. But then my cat saw them all over the place, and he would always like chatter at them and watch them. It was pretty cool. But I took all these different videos of him, and so I have a little compilation of these videos where he's kind of chattering at all the fairies. So that was really cool. But be careful also. Elves are total tricksters, so I don't know if I would even call on the elves. I don't know. They're kind of a pain in the butt for me. I don't even like working with elves. Fairies are pretty cool though, but you got to treat them with respect. Don't act like they're these cute little things. They're powerful beings, and sometimes they do expect something in return. So just read up on stuff and know what you're doing. Also, keep in mind that cats are psychic protectors, and dogs like protect you physically, but cats are more protectors of the energetic realm. So if you have a cat around, it's less likely you're going to have that kind of stuff going on, or the cats can help balance the energy, and they can definitely help reassure you and help you kind of de-stress as well. Camphor's stinky, but it's a great thing to get rid of like residual negative energy. Oh, also I wanted to mention there was this woman in the haunted house that I was talking about earlier. She would sit in the kitchen table at like around 5:00 every night, waiting for her husband to get home, and he was an alcoholic, and it was really bad, a really hopeless situation. So when I started living there, I actually would sit in that chair and start feeling depressed and stuff, and didn't know why until a psychic came out and told me, well, it's because this woman used to, feel really depressed being married to this guy, and she would sit in that chair every day. So it wasn't until I had the awareness that that's what was going on that I released myself from it. So that was kind of cool, but something to keep in mind. Sometimes we take on other people's energy, especially a lot of the twin flames are empathic, and they will, take on other people's energy. So once you become aware of whose energy is whose, it releases. So as soon as I knew that it was that lady, not me, then I was like, okay, and I never had that happen again. If you are wanting to learn light language, you can learn that. I learned it kind of naturally, just kind of came to me. I practiced it until it became fluent. You can do that. You can go to Vanessa Lamorte on YouTube. I'll put a link to her as well. And she teaches light language, but light language is a really great way to protect yourself. I've done it many, many, many times. Light language works on intention, so whatever you set your intention on is what you will, what you'll have be effective. So let's see here. Have someone come and do energy work and sever cords or anything like that. Sleep machines, get rid of them. Anything that, okay, so I was in one house where I was trying to clear it, and I walked by all these pictures of all these family pictures and things, and I felt that her dad's eyes kind of watched me as I went by, and I looked at him, and I asked her, I said, is there anybody in all these pictures on the wall, is there anyone here that doesn't approve of you and your marriage? And she said, yeah, my dad, and that's the picture I picked up on. And I said, okay, so let's take his picture and turn it face down on the drawer, and we're not going to have him on the family wall now. And that's our way of setting our boundaries and saying, I choose my marriage over your nasty energy. So we did that, and sure enough, they stopped fighting in that area. They were fighting like right in the kitchen a lot. And as soon as I got rid of the dad's energy, everything improved dramatically. So it could be something subtle like that. If you're sensing something like that might be going on, just feel into it. Let's see. I think those are pretty much some really good tips to go on for now. So hopefully that'll help you if you have some kind of activity like that going on. So we have a caller. Hello, caller.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello,
who am I speaking with? Yeah.
Oh, my name's TD.
Well, hello.
Hello.
And did you have a question for me tonight?
Not a question in particular. I just wanted to. I guess it's been almost upcoming on a year now that I kind of figured, kind of got a hold of the twin flame thing.
Uh-huh.
And I was just, I do have a lot of questions, but I know it's probably too much for right now here on your show, on your podcast.
Well, we do have some people who just started to start listening to the show, so feel free to ask me anything you'd like.
Okay.
Fire away.
Fire away. Well, I'm kind of at a position of surrender at the moment, I think, and just kind of, I guess I'm at the point where I've got to keep my energy flow positive and just kind of keep patient and kind of getting my things straight and
okay,
waiting on divine timing, as you say.
Okay. So, tell me what's gone on with your twin flame so far, and how did you know that this was your twin flame?
Well, basically, we split up last July, and it was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. The most dramatic and powerful feelings, and I just had to. I just went on a quest for trying to figure it out, and I came across some twin flame articles on the internet.
Okay.
Of course, that seems to be the only place it is in my world right now. Nobody.
Yeah, nobody else is going through it, and they think you're crazy.
Yeah, it could seem that way outside looking in. So I'm very careful with who I, trust with kind of telling my story.
Good idea.
So it hadn't been told to me, right? But I keep trying to look for a good question to throw at you. Something weird, something very strange this past weekend. I kind of was in the same general vicinity of this girl, and we hadn't been talking much at all in the last 6 months. Just maybe a few emails. Had a bad timing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But I would just automatically. She was out of thousands of people. She was the first one that I happened to recognize. Come in contact when I first got there.
Uh-huh.
So it really kind of freaked me out, how that it's actually happened in the last 3 years at the same place, but it's just that happening. Those things are kind of hard to take in,
Yeah, It's a little shocking, isn't it?
A little shocking. And I remember I
Yeah.
got I kind of asked asked the source for an answer or for a verification on something. I'm like, all
Uh-huh.
right, everything's pointing to this girl, like a lot of stuff.
Synchronicities and
But
all that. All kinds of signs. Tell me some of the
yeah,
signs and things that were kind of pointing you toward her.
well, from the beginning, before I even heard her name or knew what she looked like or anything, I remember I was hanging out with friends a lot, and I was leaving kind of late at night. And I remember as I got in the car, almost it was at least 2 or 3 nights that I got in and looked at the clock, and it was either 11:11 or 12:12, but I think it was most of the time 11:11.
Wow.
And I didn't think anything of it. I just thought, wow, that's strange. And so it happened like maybe 2 or 3
by
times
the
in a
by
month.
the way, it's 8:11 right now on my on my clock.
Yeah, and 10:11 here where I'm at.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay.
But so I had no idea, about that stuff. But I do recall that happening like the kind of the fall time before. I met her in the spring, and it was kind of in the fall and winter that happened.
Mhm.
And so that was a sign that I looked once I did some research and was looking into that. That was kind of a notification of some sort. It seemed like at the time.
Right. Yeah.
When I first met her, she was teaching at the elementary school I went to, and it's just all kinds of synchronicities. That it's really out of hand and bizarre how much. But this
Did you
last
guys?
time, so say again.
No, you go ahead.
So I was going to tell you, this last time I was kind of getting really, really down. I went through a really hard 6 months, and I was kind of pulling out of it, and I kept having some kind of backlashes of things. I would get really upset about some stuff, and I was finally like, I remember, thinking this to myself is like, I need to know something about this that can't be denied. This is something bulletproof.
Mhm.
That I can go on and continue on, or else I'm going to have to, turn myself into a psych ward for all this stuff.
Yeah.
So I thought that it was a Friday night, and I thought that, and I kind of put out that request or whatever, and I went out to a brewery close by, and ended up staying at a friend's house. We had some beers and played music up pretty late, and so I stayed at his house and woke up the next morning, wasn't feeling very good, so I kind of laid around and wasn't in no hurry, didn't have anything to do, so I just kind of took my time getting up and getting in my car and going on.
Mhm.
So when I finally did, it was about 10 a.m., it's kind of late, and it was about 20 miles from my house, and I was on a 4-lane highway coming home, and I was smoking a cigarette, which is something I'm very guilt-ridden about.
Mhm.
The girl, she totally despises it. But anyway, I was smoking, and I get this really nervous feeling like somebody's watching me. I, kind of started hiding my cigarette in a way. And I'm going, and I see this giant billboard I think it's an insurance ad or something, but the numbers are all 5. It's like 222. It's like 7 2s in it, lined up in a
Wow.
row. And I'm riding on the highway, and I look at this sign, and I think, wow, well, that's kind of it's a lot of 2s lined up there. Maybe that's a sign for something. And then pretty much right after that, I look in my rear view mirror, and I notice, of course, the license plate is backwards, so I couldn't pick up on that immediately because it's a personalized tag and all.
Yeah.
But I look back in my rear view, and it's a girl. It's right behind me.
Uh-huh.
coming, and I guess she's been somewhere the night before, and I've been somewhere, and we just happen to line up, and she's in my rear view as I kind of pass that sign, and that kind of blew me away as a thing that's, pretty hard to deny, how that was a sign that was kind of directed towards me.
Did you figure out what the license plate said?
Oh yeah, it was my ex-girlfriend.
Oh my gosh.
It was her personalized tag, yeah.
Whoa. Wow.
Yeah, and she was, I hadn't talked to her or seen her, and that was the first time I'd seen her or even seen her car in 6-7 months.
So you sensed her?
I did.
Wow,
yeah,
that's crazy.
I thought so, and after that, I haven't really been as in doubt as much. It's kind of like, that was kind of hard to. That was a pretty strong sign for me.
Well, I got some good news for you.
What's that?
Whenever twin flames go into separation, they always bounce back way stronger and more mature. So whatever that was that caused you guys to break apart, when you guys come back together, it's going to be reinforced even stronger. And I do get the feeling you guys are twin flames. Although that's up for you to determine through all these like synchronicities and all that kind of stuff. You know it in your heart, really. So, but let me feel into her. You guys haven't talked for a while now?
Actually, the last week or two we did have some contact. I actually apologized for some irrational things that I had emailed her.
Good for you. Good.
And
the key to I think one of the keys to having a successful twin flame relationship is being able to take personal responsibility.
Yes, for sure.
It's a pretty grown up relationship. It's like time. It's time to graduate from being immature and time to be real. Time to be real with each other. Time to support each other. Time to be a team. Time to get over insecurities and be there for each other. Everyone has their insecurities. It's not like you have to be a perfect person, but you got to be prepared to see your own stuff, just like you did. Like apologizing for your behavior is key. How did she respond?
She was, it seemed like she didn't say that she forgave me, but she said she appreciates that that email.
Mhm.
And it was decent, but the thing is, the reason why I apologized is when I was within her, we were in the same space like last weekend, a pretty big festival, but nonetheless we were there. And I saw her several times and actually walked past her several times, but she was avoiding. She wanted to avoid eye contact, so I didn't push the issue because I've been chasing her. Well, I haven't been, but I was chasing her pretty hard.
Mhm.
So I did see her, and I came pretty, within several feet, and I could tell that she's dealing with something pretty heavy right now.
Mhm.
She just wasn't, she just wasn't happy at the moment, or for the whole weekend as far as that's concerned. But so that's why I just want to let her know that if what I said really hurt her feelings, that I wanted to, kind of apologize and tell her that's not what I meant to do.
Right. Good. So this kind of sounds like, the twins they can't all come together at the same time. So there's these different waves. The first wavers are all kind of crashing right now. They're all kind of coming together, coming into union around now, and they've been coming together recently. But there are others who are in the other stages of where they're still kind of evolving. And it kind of sounds like, from what you've told me so far, that you might be what's called the divine feminine, because it doesn't matter what sex you are. The divine feminine is the one who pursues or chases the masculine after the masculine kind of flirts and kind of brings attention to what they are. It's like the
Uh-huh.
masculine's like, "Hello, guess what? We're really special. Hey, hey." And where she would normally have been like, "Yeah, I don't know, you know." And all of a sudden he does something that kind of causes her to he gets her attention, and then once he gets her attention, he runs, and then she chases after him. Then you have the runner and chaser dynamic where he's running thinking, "I don't want to get hurt. What have I gotten myself into? Yipes." And so she calls and texts and does all of this stuff to try to, like, "Hey, I thought we had something cool here. What happened? Where are you going? What's up?" And he goes through several dark nights of the soul, like you're describing that she's going through right now. Like, just goes through a really rough time, and she's got to go face her demons and take a look at, like, how has she been living her life up till now, and how authentic has she been? And are things really the way that she wants them to be for the rest of her life, or does she want to make some corrections? So she goes through quite, in your situation, she goes through all these adjustments and corrections to try to make her life better, essentially, and it's because she's inspired by you. When they meet their twin, it's like they see what's possible, yeah.
I was saying, Amy, you're really describing me with all that. I know I've definitely been through that, and
Okay.
I can't say that she has at the moment or was going to soon. I know I definitely have. I went through that stuff.
Okay.
And we were actually. I keep assuming that you know all the details of this, but you don't. I'm not prepared. I didn't prepare for this. I just kind of called and thought, well, I'll listen in, and if I get time, I'll ask her a few questions. But I'm not prepared for it. But let's say we were together for 17 months, and initially it was for the first 3 months was just I think I counted up 70 some days that we were together every day. For some, it might have been for just an hour or so, but so there was a period there we were inseparable, and I remember she kind of burst the bubble and she says, I don't think we're codependent, and I don't think this is good what we're doing. And that kind of was the start of my downward spiral. Next, I found myself trying to convince her that it will work regardless of these silly things that you're saying. So that went on for a long time, and I eventually shut down because it was just too much. I can't couldn't deal with it. So I shut down on her and and that hurt her really bad when that happened. And it was really nothing I could do, just had to go through it.
Well, that's part of the codependency and addictions and things like that is part of that not taking personal responsibility thing that causes separation. So I can see why it happened, but can I feel into her for a moment?
Sure.
And see, okay. I just want to just kind of feel out where her headspace is right now between you guys. Hang on. It's like she feels actually hopeful about you guys, but she's still afraid to like maybe be codependent again, or afraid to go right where you guys left off. She doesn't know, she doesn't realize how much the twins. She probably doesn't know you guys are twin flames, for one. For two, she probably doesn't realize that when they do go into separation, tremendous changes happen. It's like when I've seen the twins go into separation and they come back together, it's like when they come back together, they're like totally different people. Every time they come back together, they're like totally different people. So it's really cool to see how fast the evolution can happen between them. But that's what I feel from her, is that she still does want to be with you. I feel like she thinks about you all the time and really does want to make that happen, but she was mature enough to recognize it was unhealthy. So I think what she would just need to see from you is that things have changed. So maybe in order for that to happen, you need to leave her alone for a bit and give her lots of space, huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
if
this is
that's one of
the
the
worst
things that
part is,
you've always done is bug her a lot, pulling away can be something you can show her, like, I know how to take care of myself and self-soothe. I don't need you to be constantly, like, giving me attention for me to feel okay. That kind of thing.
yeah, I've been there for a couple months. Yeah.
Okay.
The worst part is she's with another guy, and this
Okay.
happens very very soon after we split up. She maybe a month afterwards. Yeah,
Mhm.
she's got with another guy that she was kind of friends with before, and that hurt harder than, I mean, that hurt worse than probably, I don't know, probably anything. Really really added the icing on the cake.
Well, see, this is still sounding like she's the masculine. I only say that because they avoid their destiny. And one of the ways they avoid is by going out with karmic partners. And when you told me about the other guy, I immediately got the word karmic. So that's good news for you, because whenever they're with a karmic partner, it just won't last. And unfortunately, though, it can take a little bit of time until they learn the lesson, but hopefully she's mature enough, like she was with you, that she would recognize that it's unhealthy, right away. Or as soon as she does, then she might see that there's a difference in you and give you another chance. So the karmics are there though for a reason, and they're not, like trying to hurt you by going out with that other person. They're just trying to figure out like where they are, where they stand in the world, and who best suits them. So they got to kind of narrow it down, and the karmics really essentially kind of get them ready for you because they fight more. There's more of this feeling of you need to fit in my mold, or the other person needs to fit into their mold. I mean, there's bossiness, and there's controlling, and there's this there's a lot more unhealthy stuff that goes on that makes them realize that that's not what they want. And essentially, the karmics will lead them back to their twin flame. It's like they like inevitably will keep comparing their karmic partners to their twin flame and see that their twin flame has the biggest heart, is the most unconditionally loving, that they're the ones who will stand by their side through thick and thin, no matter what. There's just a quality to the twin flame relationship that you just can't get from any other relationship you try chasing. So,
Right.
in a way, you can be grateful for the karmic partner because that's just gonna make her want you more. But it just may take a little bit of time. Let me feel into the situation to see what might be going on there. Hang on a minute. I yeah, I feel like she might reach out to you within about a month or so, like a text or a call or something. It kind of feels like she wants to express that she misses you, and for her to be thinking about you as much as I was tuning into. She's definitely having doubts about this guy already, and I feel like within a couple months they'll be broken up.
Right.
And it feels like around Halloween time, I think you guys will be back together. I see you guys like holding hands, um, like going out for Halloween, or some kind of like Halloween festivities or something.
Uh-huh. Okay.
So hold to that hope, keep that vision alive, and use some visualization to really send her blessings and to keep you in a high vibrational state, like you were talking about in the beginning, and
Okay.
see the karmic as a blessing, and be glad that one thing you learn really well from karmics is setting boundaries. You learn how to communicate really well. You learn how being right doesn't matter. There's so much that you learn from a karmic that causes that maturing, that brings the twins together more mature and healthier. So
Right.
whoever he is, he's like shaping and molding her for you. So that's kind of cool.
Okay. Yeah, I'm grateful for it. I was thinking, recently that it's kind of the ultimate test of my love for her.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of what I wanted to tell her in those emails that she got that. I'm not saying she got mad, but I know it hurt her. What some things that I said. I really just wanted to tell her that, you know, whatever you've done, it's never going to be enough to, you know, make my feelings change. That's what I wanted to say, but I ended up kind of, you know, getting my intentions mixed up a little bit. But that, I'm grateful for that, because if she does accept that, then that's kind of a true test, you know.
Well, yeah, and as much as you think about her, she's thinking about you, and I definitely feel that. And she's going to be getting all kinds of signs and synchronicities from the universe as well. So
Okay.
she's going to be led back to you. Just right now, the best thing you can do, since you guys are attached energetically, is to work on yourself. You know, just like you did. It's a beautiful thing when you can admit your faults. Really beautiful. You can screw up as many times as you want, but if you keep coming back to realizing more about yourself and growing and expanding and admitting and kind of laughing at yourself, that's really healthy. That's going to keep you going in a good direction. So that's all very positive. And so the more that you can work on yourself, and I do have some resources on my webpage on amysatori.com that you could look into in terms of like some tools to deal with some of your stressful thoughts around the situation. And so that you don't jump to conclusions about things that are happening and things like that. But the healthier you can keep your mindset, and the more you can do I would definitely quit smoking. If that's something you want to do and you feel like that's a healthy direction you want to go in, I would definitely do that so that you don't resent her for making you do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I do. I have quit. It's just kind of a sporadic thing, you know. You get to feeling bad and have drinks, and next thing you know, I'm smoking. And
right, it's so hard.
I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we all have our vice, and especially if we're feeling insecure in the situation, we don't have that confirmation that our twin loves us back. That kind of thing will cause you to continue to do the unhealthy behaviors. But maybe just keep in. And I'm not even saying like just totally cut out the unhealthy behaviors. You're not going to be able to anyway. And I'm all about like accepting yourself where you're at. So if you're not ready to totally quit that because you kind of need it as a vice right now, that's fine. But keep it in the back of your mind that is a healthy move that you want to make at the right time, and that you're willing to do that, and you're not going to blame her for that. You know what I mean? Just be ready to make that change when you do. And whenever you can quit, maybe you'll quit for a few days and that feels good, and then you'll keep it on. So, or maybe if you just start doing Byron Katie's work every day, you'll be able to lighten your load mentally that way too, so that you won't feel the need to be smoking so much. You know, just use your own combination. Just don't judge yourself, and try to go out and just really have a great time. You know, try to figure out what your life's passion is, some of the things that you feel excited about and drawn to, and get involved with those types of activities so that you can feel as happy as you can, as much as you can. And keeping in mind, sometimes when you feel down or you feel anxiety or you're like out of the blue feeling kind of restless, that could be her, because you're going to be feeling her feelings from time to time.
Yeah. Before all this, I didn't even know what an empath was. And now I totally realize that I've been empathic my whole life, and it's the reason for a lot of my difficulties.
Mhm.
So I'm dealing with that. At least I know what it is, and I'm on the way to deal with it. But
part of that,
I didn't even have a clue. So.
Yeah, well, part of that is having healthy boundaries and also knowing what's your energy and what's something else's energy. So if you can kind of work on those two categories, then you'll start to feel like you got a better grip on it. You could do Qigong. Qigong is a really great way of getting other people's energy off of you. Anything like Tai Chi or Qigong where you do energy work, or go to like a Reiki practitioner. They do a really good job of cord cutting and, just clearing other people's energy off of you. And then you'll get the more clear you become, and the more you're able to really stay in the moment, the more you're able to notice those subtle energies that are entering into your field that are not you.
Okay.
But it just
Yeah,
takes a little
definitely
time. Maybe,
try some of that.
yeah, that might be one of my talks coming up because I had another gal come into me and ask how to do that recently too. So I can definitely like put together a list of things that you can do if you feel that you're an empath and it's a little overwhelming. Epsom salt baths help. You could sage yourself if you've got sage. Just smudge yourself with the intention of clearing your energy field. You could even say the word clear. Sometimes, I'll be in my room and I'll sense something's in there, and I'll just state really clearly. I'll just say clear, and I just feel like the whole room just become like pure light.
Okay.
So there's all kinds of little tools like that.
Yes, need to look into that for sure.
Cool.
Thank you. I'm not sure how much time. I know you've put a lot of time with me here. I'm not sure where you're at, or.
Yeah, we can talk a few more minutes. But I was just thinking too, while you guys are in separation, it might be a really good idea for you to talk to her higher self. And that, since you're such an empath, that might be very interesting for you to explore. I mean, you can even have sexual experiences with her. It's interesting to see how the twins do that as well. But you could just imagine that she's there next to you and just talk to her and tell her what's going on. Maybe explain yourself. I had a little thing happen with my twin recently, and we were not talking, so I didn't know what to do except to just explain myself energetically to him and just tell him what happened. And I did feel like he reassured me with a song and a couple of other things that happened after that. So that's the kind of stuff that happens. So you'll tell her, look, I'm really sorry about what I said. That's not what I meant. It came across wrong. You can kind of explain your side of things, and you can imagine her response back. And you guys kind of energetically develop a relationship. Sometimes I'll be walking down the street or doing something, and I can hear my twin's voice. Oh, the other day, it was crazy. I was doing a reading for somebody, and I said something about I said, "Ooh, yeah, passion is bringing you guys together," and the guy said to me, he goes, "Oh, you gotta like that," or something about the way he said it. He sounded exactly like my twin. I mean, it kind of made me jump. I just looked at him like my jaw was like, "What?" It sounded exactly like him. So that type of thing it's like the answers will come to you. So express your heart to her on an energetic level like that, and then see the types of things that you start seeing, or conversations that start happening around you that feel like it's actually her talking to you through somebody else. It's really kind of neat how that all happens. Her higher self, the twins' higher selves are always trying to help this along, and they'll send messages any way that they can. And obviously, the universe really wants the twins to come together as well, because they're powerhouses, they're power couples. They make a big difference in the vibration of the world, and they really inspire others as well. So yeah, give that a shot. See what happens when you try communicating with her on that level. You could even say goodnight to her every night. Just just talk to her like somebody, when somebody passes away, sometimes you'll talk to them like they're there in the room with you. It's the same thing.
Okay. I have tried connecting like that, and hopefully I have been somewhat. Hopefully something's kind of getting through.
I feel it is.
And also dreams. I mean, I was actually doing pretty dang good as far as like keeping her out of my mind, and not. I was just doing pretty good with that. And I had a dream. It was an early morning dream, and it was so real. And it's like I just saw her face and we kind of kissed and stuff, and it was so real that it shook me up for the next week. and that was the week that I knew I was going to kind of see her, be in the same kind of space. And so it got me, it kind of tore me up. the dream was so real. It just
Yeah,
kind of brought
exactly.
back a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's exactly what's gonna be happening. Um, take it as best you can though, instead of like letting it like jar you or upset you. Some of the twins I talk to are just like they feel so overwhelmed by all the signs and synchronicities that it's like driving them crazy, and they're almost like mad.
Right.
But that's just gonna put you in a bad state of mind. So just try to just be like, thank you for sending that. Thanks for sending that dream. And sometimes it's your twin saying, hey, like sometimes I'll pray. Can you show them something about me? Can you give them a feel for who I am, for what I'm like, and what it could be like for us being together? And I'm just trusting he's had those dreams. Or I'll have this, or I'll ask for that to be shown to me as well, so that it kind of helps to just acclimate you guys and to see like. But I mean, sometimes it brings up your insecurities too. You'll have a dream about like what you'd be afraid of with them too. So, but that's good too because you can start working on that before you guys actually come together. But it's all there to
Right.
help
Right.
you. You
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
also keep a diary of signs, or something like that. Keep a
I
diary of
definitely
your dreams.
should. I definitely should, but I'm just taking mental notes of everything. I I know writing is one of the best ways to get it out and get it down, but just have
Mhm.
this, kind of
It's
just don't take
validating
the
too.
time to do it.
Well, it's really
Right. Right.
validating when everybody else is doubting you, and going back to that thing about how you feel like you can't really talk to other people. That's pretty common. You do get a lot of, I can't even tell you how many people have said like, Amy, you just need to move on. Who cares about this guy? Go with this other guy, or do this and that. And it's like I do have a very open mind, and I do explore other possibilities, and I do, I'm open to whatever the universe wants to bring me. If it's a super loving connection, and it's really good for me and feels really healthy and it's awesome, then totally. But it just seems to me kind of obvious that the universe is like pointing me in that direction. So you just learn to discern and ignore those naysayers, and just kind of feel it out. It's a very individual path, and it's there to teach you to listen to your own intuition and gain confidence in your own signs and synchronicities and the dreams, and it's like put it all together and gain confidence in your own truth. Go deeper with your own truth, and figure it out and decipher it for yourself. That's kind of what we're coming into, is just a time where telepathy and intuition are becoming a primary need and focus as human beings. So this is one of the ways that the universe is kind of shaping and grooming us and teaching us how to do that.
Oh wow.
You know?
Okay. Yeah,
So
I've definitely my intuition is at least I'm giving it respect now. Instead of before, it was kind of like okay, yeah, I had a feeling and I knew that was going to happen, but that's just a coincidence. But after, I guess this is so hard to deny that because so many things I kind of intuitively sensed and knew about long before they happened, and
wow.
it's so many things. So yeah, nonetheless, my intuition is really getting a good workout. I'm just trying to learn to trust.
You and me both.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, but it's overwhelming, but it's pretty cool.
I've even had really... there's stuff going on out there. Some of these karmic partners of the twin flames do stuff like black magic and crazy stuff too, and try to disillusion them or manipulate them or get them pregnant. It's just like there's some crazy stuff going on out there. And I've had like even psychic attacks, or guys that want to be with me and that try to send like synchronicities and stuff through to me, and I have to decipher that stuff too. And I've even had like there's this one guy who wants to be with me, and he's like energetically tries to send these signs and these crazy things. He'll even go through friends who are kind of jaded in relationships and kind of distrustful already, and he'll come through trying to influence them away from my twin flame. But I know his energy and I know how he comes across, and I can see him every time. And I'll even say it to the person who's telling me. They'll say, "Oh no, no, he's not the right one for you. He's this and that and the other thing." And I'm thinking, "No, that's not my masculine. I know him. He is not, he's not that." And then I'll feel into it, and I'm like, "Oh, doggone it, it's that guy again, trying to interrupt and interfere with this." And the minute I tell the psychic, like, I have a lot of intuitive friends, and I'll just look at my friend and I'll say, "Try this on for size. Maybe it's this guy." And then they tune into him and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it was totally him." And then they feel really like embarrassed. They're like, "Oh shoot, I'm sorry, I got my signals mixed up. I was totally reading that. You're right. This other guy was trying to manipulate the situation, trying to get you to get your mind off of your twin." So, but that's what I'm talking about. I mean, yeah, it can be tricky, and it can be, and the twin flames are so powerful that it's like there are some other forces or other people that would do anything to stop it from coming together. They want to interfere as much as they possibly can. Or maybe they don't want to, maybe they're family or friends, and they don't want you to be as happy, as, it's like, don't leave town and go be with that person. Like, you're going to soar, and I'm going to be sitting here in my old stink, Don't go fly. You can't go fly. Are you kidding me? I'm going to be so jealous. So there's so many different people with different motivations, and even people who know dark magic, and people who are really manipulative and want what they want, and they'll be very charming, trying to get you to go a different way. So you really you got to be wise and tread carefully, and you got to know your truth, and you got to know what you stand for, and you got to have faith in it. And as much as nothing's happening or nothing's appearing to be happening, you got to know what you know and have faith in what you got to believe in, and, stand by that. And if you change your mind, then you stand by that, So it's such an individual thing. But, just use your discernment and practice your intuition, and just be very highly suspicious of anything that tries to hold you back from your twin. Very suspicious. If I listen to like a collective reading and it starts to sound, I'm listening from all these different angles, and I'm thinking, is it that guy trying to sway me again? Oh, yep, there's that guy, and I tap out of it. They'll even like go to collective readers and give the information to that person because they're susceptible to it. So, I mean, he's pulling out all the stops right now. I mean, I must be close to union or something, because he's trying everything he possibly can, and I'm stopping him at every turn. But he's trying everything.
Okay. Well, I'm thankful I don't have to deal with that so far.
Hopefully not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I do.
But some of you, some people who are listening right now might be having something like that going on. So I'm just giving them a heads up.
Right. Yeah, I'd never thought about that. So good. Didn't realize it would.
You feel the love. Go toward the love. If somebody's encouraging you to do something loving and it truly feels authentic and loving, go toward that. If it feels like it resonates with you, it feels good to you, do that. But if it starts to feel like you're being tricked, or you're just wondering what their motivation is, it's probably not a good thing.
Right. Kind of follow your heart.
Yes.
And
follow your heart.
Feelings, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Good deal. Well, I do want to kind of get my whole story to you, because I think you would be pretty impressed by it. Or
I would love to hear it sometime. Maybe we can even maybe we could do a show on it and have that discussion. That'd be really cool. Will you call back and do that sometime?
I will. I definitely will. But I want to be in touch with you. I want to book a reading.
Okay.
And
that'd be great.
Yeah. So.
All right.
I actually think I booked one a while back, but I'll figure it out and I'll get in touch with you.
Oh, did you? Okay. there was a guy that ordered a reading like a couple months ago, and they never did schedule anything. That may have been you. Was it a couple months ago?
Yes, that's me. I never figured out your schedule, so I'm just going to get in touch with you and work it out.
Okay, then I'll go back through my orders. I'll find you, and I'll email you my schedule so we can set that up.
Okay. I really appreciate your time tonight.
Yeah.
And
of course.
Yeah, I wasn't prepared, and I apologize for that. But enjoy
no, that's
the talk.
Fine. Yeah, this has been great. Thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, and I'll talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right, you're welcome. All right, everybody. So that's been a lot of helpful information, hopefully, to a lot of you listening. And have yourselves a great evening. And thank you so much for listening to the Satori Show.